insidious beliefs. They're not necessarily like obvious, they're not loud, they're not obviously harmful typically. They feel normal, even reasonable, and even like virtuous in sometimes because it comes from the ego protecting itself. My worth is something I must earn, and shows up a lot of times as productivity, perfectionism, people pleasing, and constant self improvement. And then the life turns into performance. We feel guilt all the time.
If we don't address that we're the only ones that can make the change to change the belief, then the chase is going to get faster because we believe that the person saying it validates, like it's true because they said it. Is it true? Is it real? Is it present? Is there something really bad happening right now? Or am I in a pattern of feeling unworthy, so I need to go chase being comfortable? So step back, taking full ownership of it, because then we can surrender. If we don't feel safe and grounded within us, then we're doing the opposite. We're chasing what we think is going to make us feel safe.
I must abandon part of myself to belong.
Yeah.
When we grow up, as we are kids, we don't have fully developed brain. We're 100% dependent on our caregivers to survive. I did have to abandon part of myself when I was younger in order to fit in order to survive. But you know what? Right now, I don't have to do that.
What once was self-abandonment, maybe saying yes when it was a no or being not sure, over time we develop discernment, and that discernment keeps us from falling into the abandonment part because we become able to say, no, it's not okay with me, without the fear of I'm going to lose them.
Conflict means something is wrong. It equates discomfort with danger. Basically, if it's not comfortable, it's dangerous. Beautiful souls, curious minds, welcome back to another Wake and Aware podcast. Today, here with me again, Tammy. Thank you so much for being here. Good to see you again. I wanted to jump into something that is kind of sometimes overlooked, and when I say kind of, I mean a lot overlooked, and that's insidious beliefs. I know we've spoken about beliefs before, but they're not necessarily like obvious, they're not loud, they're not obviously harmful typically. They're more like they feel normal, even reasonable, and even like virtuous in sometimes because it comes from so deeply from the ego protecting itself. Oftentimes we rationalize these beliefs that we have so well that they quietly like creating this suffering basically for us. So anytime there's a suffering that's created from this perspective of a belief that is somewhere inside of us that we don't necessarily notice because we feel it's normal, and it creates that separation and that suffering piece, to the point where we're like self-abandon ourselves as well. So when we are in this space, it becomes normal for us to behave according to what we think the world looks like. As I would say in one of the other podcasts that we did, was that if you wear red glasses from the birth, you don't know that the world looks different when you take the red glasses off. It looks different then, but to you, it looks the way it looks. But people may ask you or tell you that, hey, why are you wearing the red glasses? And do you see the world red? And you would say no, because that's how you always see it. So it's like so insidious, some of these beliefs. And so I'll start with the first one I was thinking about, and it was that my worth is something I must earn. And I think that this is really there out there for all of us, and shows up a lot of times as productivity, perfectionism, people pleasing, and constant self improvement. And then the life turns into performance. We feel guilt all the time because if we're underperforming, we're not pleasing somebody. Something isn't being done, basically. Like we're not doing enough. So like I must earn my keep kind of thing, as you were pointing out in one of our last talks. It keeps love conditional. This feeling of my worth is something that I must earn. If we think that we're not worthy of somebody's attention, of somebody's time, of our, the life we have or something, we're going to continuously find coping mechanisms and create some sort of strategies to make things better, please people, like I said earlier. And so this is where the self-abandonment really happens. And so that phrase that I'm not good enough, a lot of people say that, especially in spiritual circles, it's like that's like the root. At the same time, with this belief, people can build entire economy, but within our soul, we end up feeling completely empty. And so that emptiness oftentimes is something that spawns search for something. And sometimes people find a life coach. They look for new practice to join, to do new things, to try to fix somehow. So, what would be your thoughts on like what can be done around this, about this, whether it's from a perspective of coaching, whether it's from perspective of really just being, or
Mhm.
whether it's from perspective of maybe changing lifestyle somehow or doing something.
Mm. Yeah, I'd love that. When a client, friend, anyone says that, like voices that, my worth, I don't feel worthy after I make you anything. If it's appropriate, I'll say, well, who said so?
Mm,
And I usually say it like that, almost like a
mm,
defense of, well, who says? Because
mm,
I want to jar them to a first memory of where it started, because I believe that's where the chase begins.
mm,
We don't just start chasing for no reason. We end up in that pattern of chasing,
mm-hmm,
love, attention, seeking. But it's typically unclear where it began,
mm-hmm,
because if we don't put our intention and our love into it and take the reins and take the wheel and drive, it's like a bunch of toddlers running around freely, making their own stories together and drawing pictures, and, it's chaos. It
mm-hmm,
needs to be managed. And if they're left at their own free will, they're gonna go off and do whatever, and it's not going to be calm for us. And with myself as well, my first is, well, where did it come from? Did I create it? Did something externally happen? Because until I know that, I don't have the direction of where to start changing it.
mm-hmm,
Because if I say it's someone else, okay, I don't think I'm enough, or I don't feel worthy because somebody said something. I have a memory of somebody saying something, so that's why I believe it. I believed them and I took on this belief because of this person saying something. If we don't address that we're the only ones that can make the change to change the belief, then the chase is gonna get faster because we believe that the person saying it validates, like, it's true because they said it. So it's like it's gotta, who is it? And then, it's like it's the inquiry too that I do. Okay, is it true? Is it real? Is it present? Like, very similar to Peter, he'll use the example all the time of, am I gonna find a manufacturing label in you? So my version of that is the self-inquiry. Is it true? Is it real? Like, am I being chased by a lion? Like, is there something really bad happening right now? Or
mm-hmm,
am I in a pattern of feeling unworthy, so I need to go chase being comfortable?
mm-hmm,
So when I can find worthiness, I can be comfortable.
mm,
So step back, taking full ownership of it, because then we can surrender. True surrender happens when we're able to sit still with ourselves because we feel safe within us. If we don't feel safe and grounded within us, then we're doing the opposite. We're chasing what we think is going to make us feel safe.
mm-hmm.
So get to the source, get to the root right away is always my first step.
Yeah, inquiry. Yeah, I love that. Self-inquiry. Yes, some of these beliefs are we're gonna go over a little bit, few more of them. They're
Mhm.
insidious. They're hidden, so you can't necessarily know unless something happens. And when
Yeah.
something happens, this is when you are brought to awareness. To then you can pose a self-inquiry, but you can't self-inquiry to something that is hidden, right? So, when something happens, that's the point of the awareness. Okay, so
Yes.
this is where the awareness steps in, or when awareness happens.
Mhm.
This is the opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then one of the things I wanted to say about this is that when these things are discovered within us, it hurts. It feels like part of you is dying.
Yeah.
So ego wants to, or part of you, but basically that is the ego part, wants to not be seen, wants to keep the things the same way they are.
Hmm.
But part of you also understands that if you keep living this way, you are hurting yourself, and not only yourself, but everybody else around you. Let's say that's your father, that's your son or brother or sister or mother, whatever.
Hmm.
You're going to affect everybody around you, not just you,
Yeah.
by not dealing with these things. And so, from that perspective, I want to stress this a little bit more because it's important in the sense that we need to be gentle with ourselves. This is not typical approach, especially for male population. I feel is that let's push through it. Let's,
Yeah.
work hard. Let's get it done, right? Being gentle with this part is because it feels like it's part of you that's dying.
Hmm.
So can we have enough gentleness really with ourselves to
Hmm.
allow that part of us that really is asking to be let go of? Can we find that in us to let that surrender?
Yeah.
And that's really not easy.
No,
Yeah.
that's that inquiry in the beginning, because the surrender and willingness to believe that you're worthy of looking at why you don't feel worthy. That sounds like twisted, because if you can't sit with where you are, you can't get where you're going. Because being with ourselves in that surrender, that's what builds the vehicle and fuels it so we can move into our desires, where we desire to go, what we desire to do with the things that we want to be worthy of doing. And so it's that loving of self enough to say, yeah, okay, I'm going to give this time, whatever I'm going to, whatever that might be, like to your point, to hire a coach, find a friend, or just yourself, and 5 minutes a day. If we can say to ourselves, okay, we're going to 5 minutes a day, we're going to spend just quiet and just listening.
Yeah.
And I would say, to your point of the awareness, like, the thing that starts it is that basic aware that you're uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That's the inquiry. Okay, what? What, why,
Mm-hmm.
where? All right, I'm
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable. Just the same way we would assess that, okay, I'm aware that it's cold outside, so my next step is to dress warmer. Like, simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always about simplifying it. Not making it complicated and, okay, you need to go read these 5 books and then pay, $50,000 for a coat. Like, just for at in the beginning, if we can just stop and kind of, like, look around, get our bearings, and just be with ourselves, because our soul, when we give it opportunity and we open the door, the soul knows what to do, just like the body knows how to heal itself.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes we need a doctor, sometimes we need a surgery, maybe medication, but the body knows, and the soul, the being knows. And so the quietness, just be, worthy of the time to be quiet, emotionally nourishing ourselves the same way as we nourish ourselves with food. We
Mm-hmm.
don't say, "No, I'm not gonna eat today because I'm really uncomfortable because 'cause I'm hungry, and I know that I could solve it by eating food." But no, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're uncomfortable. Sit there and nourish yourself with just looking.
Yeah. Nice. When one of the things that just came to my mind in a sense is like a lot of times I feel like we make these beliefs and emotions that we're experiencing that are kind of difficult for us, we make them like they're out there, like they're separate from us, and we shouldn't have them.
Yeah.
So what I would encourage people to do is to normalize this a little bit.
Mhm.
It's normal to have difficult emotions. It happens to all of us all the time,
Yeah.
oftentimes, sometimes less, sometimes more, but it comes in
Mhm.
waves, comes and
Yeah.
goes kind of thing, right? The problem often happens is when we start to resist, to the
Mhm.
emotion that we're experiencing. We shouldn't have this, I should be further along, and which is one of the another institute actually believes that I was noting down that is like, yeah, I should be further along in my life by now, I'm old enough kind of thing, I should know better. It's like all these little tiny little sentences we say to ourselves. They're
Mhm.
so, as I said, insidious in the sense that we don't realize though that we're harming ourselves.
Yeah.
And if I go back to what we spoke about before, in the sense that our frequency creates our reality, creates,
Mhm.
makes
Mhm.
things happen in reality. So whether it's a frequency of your thought, whether it's a frequency of your sound, sentences, words, heartbeat, even, like what you're feeling, those are all frequencies. And so those frequencies, whichever ones you're holding there most often, those are the habitual ones. That's how the reality is created. It's not by,
Mhm.
it's like we have evidence that obviously, let's say something happens and I feel upset, angry, emotional about something. It's not that it could have happened some other way, but it happened. But what was your reaction to that event? That really is like what's hiding inside. So
Mhm.
first thing, like you're saying, inquiry, always asking, okay, something is triggering me. What am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? Literally, what am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? Sit with it. Just in your
Yeah.
body. There you are. This is like bringing awareness, not start fixing, not right away. Later on, maybe you can fix, but just be with it.
Yeah.
Just being with that
Mhm.
feeling, with that emotion, with a thought. Something upset you, something feels scary, something was said or done and it didn't feel right to you, whatever it was or is. Can you just
Mhm.
like sit with it for a moment?
Yeah.
And then notice in your body, like where is the tension? Like where are you feeling? It's like anger oftentimes shows up in our
Mhm.
throat, right? Oftentimes the
Mhm.
fear is in like gut and just anxiety feels in the heart
Mhm.
oftentimes. And so things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you're taking so much time with the beginning of just recognizing, because I think that's what matters most. And some things that I would offer as suggestions for that, for noticing, is to, in the interest of awareness, look for all of where there's could'ves, should'ves, like in our own language. Just like start listening. I mean, of course, journaling is great because everything comes out in it, but even if someone's not a journaler, I'll say just commit to listening to yourself even before we try to sit and surrender or meditate or do anything. Just listen to the dialogue and watch for could'ves, should'ves, because those are going to show us where we have any blame or judgment towards ourselves, and it'll show if it's towards other people, but it really mostly matters in ourselves. And we can see where the conditions are when we do that too. They'll pop up. It's like they'll lift to the surface if we do that. And then as soon as we see them, then we can we give love to it. Then we can surrender, because once we make friends with the monster, we can invite it in to say, okay, what are you here to say? Because when I'm not screaming in fear of the monster and the monster is not roaring at me, all right, let's just sit down and talk about this. Like, let's figure this out. And so it's not facing the fear and fighting against it, because that's just as harmful as resistance. It's quite honestly cruel to say to ourselves, all right, sit and just surrender. Just do it. I mean, it's not going to work, but that's painful and that's going to create resistance. So that awareness, watching, like, look where they are, and and the patterns will start to show up where it always is. And we can get rid of that, the blame and the shame and the judgment. When that's out of the way, that's 90% of the clearing of the pathway so we can walk and transcend and start to make changes in things. It'll all
Mhm.
bubble up and come out. It's like the shame and blame and judgment is the ice on top of the water, and we want to
Mhm.
come up out of the water. Well, the ice melts because the love, it'll melt it. And so now everything can rise to the top, and now we can see it. So we have awareness, we can see it, and then do whatever we need to do, be whatever we need to be.
Yeah. Awesome. Blame, shame, judgment. This is something to look out for. And this is again,
Mhm.
these three things alone.
Yeah.
Anytime we're creating energy of shaming someone for
Mhm.
something, ourselves for something, or doing something, being somewhere, being someone, not being someone.
Mhm.
Anytime we're guilting something or someone or ourselves, anytime we're judging something, someone or ourselves, this is where we like literally, it's like stabbing yourself.
Yep.
It's almost literally it's like stabbing yourself and then wondering why am I bleeding? It's like, let me think about that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the other beliefs was what did I note down? I must abandon part of myself to belong.
Yeah.
And this is something that I think literally everybody has probably, because this part of the game, I feel like being a human being, it's like
Mhm.
because as we growing up, and I know we spoke to this before, but I just feel like it's so important that a lot of us don't see this. When we grow up, as we are kids, we don't have fully developed brain, we're
Mhm.
100% dependent on our caregivers to survive. So whatever our caregivers do say, we abide by it. And so if we don't, we'll lose their love, we'll could theoretically be kicked out and die. So that's the fear. And as a child, obviously, it's normal. And
Mhm.
at the same time, it's role of the parent, I feel, or the caregiver to guide the child to say, for instance, like if I, as a parent, lose it, something happens, the child does something that the child should do probably like it's appropriate to age whatever they did,
Mhm.
and I lose it because I feel tired or I feel just pissy, whatever, low in energy, and as
Mhm.
a parent I will scream at them and it's whatever. The child will feel frightened, they will cry possibly. It's up to me to then step in and take a breath and step in and say, you know what, sweetie, I'm so sorry I did that. I did not mean to hurt you. And I
Mhm.
see that to say something to not as an apology, but as in like I don't need to say to the child, "Hey, I feel low."
Yeah.
I
Right.
no, no,
Mhm.
the child just needs to know
Right.
like they're safe. They're
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
safe. It's
Mhm.
okay. I lost it. I didn't mean to yell at you, and then just say, "Hey, you know what? Let me play with you for a bit or
Mhm.
something." Whatever they were
Yeah.
asking for, right? And again, I feel like these little events, these little moments, they're so important and often so overlooked. Whether it is interaction with our kids, with our family, with our loved
Mhm.
ones, etc. It's those are the moments that these lives of ours are being
Mhm.
built off. That's how we
Yeah.
live. And so I abandon myself because I want to belong. Is that oftentimes it shows up in our life. We end up saying like we shouldn't feel that, like we deny our
Mhm.
own needs, and then we deny our own truths, kind of thing. I don't matter, kind of thing, right? So we learn
Mhm.
to we learn to trade authenticity for attachment, for codependency. Over time, we lose track of like who we actually are. And of course, this leads into like a burnout, depression, and confusion, and all sorts of difficulties that we end up experiencing in life. But again, the idea is that this is so subtle, this belief and understanding that I did have to abandon part of myself when I was younger in order to fit in order to survive. But you know what? Right now, I don't have to do that. As an
Mhm.
adult, let's say, I have autonomy, I have sovereignty, and I'm claiming it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like what once was self-abandonment, maybe saying yes when it was a no or being not sure. Over time, we develop discernment, and that discernment keeps us from falling into the abandonment part because we
Mhm.
become able to say, no, it's not okay with me without the fear of, well, if I say no, I'm going to lose them. It's not that we don't care about it, but we're not attached to it because we know we can't lose anything because we don't have anything. So there isn't anything to lose. It's a form of self-abandonment to your point about not calling it an apology, but just saying, "Yeah, you know what? I just yeah, I went a little too far, or I could have said that better." And just acknowledging that something could have been said better If we don't clean that up, that's self-abandonment too, because it's going to create shame, which is going to be, resentment towards self because we didn't clean it up. Because it
Mhm.
doesn't matter whether the other person accepted it or maybe they didn't get mad at us or didn't say anything. They didn't there was no conflict with another person, but we are always going to face what we think about, what we do, anything that happens, we're going to face it. And I mean, I'm going to say this especially with kids, we can still hold a boundary and say I overreacted. So maybe, there is a okay, look, you're still punished. You're still gonna be grounded, and this is gonna happen. However, I could have handled that a little differently. So I just
Mhm.
wanna own that and say, "Look, I went a little too far, I reacted, but you're still grounded." And so
Mhm.
it's not one or the other, we can merge it. It's not
Mhm.
cut and dry,
Mhm.
and the more that we do that, it leads into the discernment overall, and eventually not a lot of thought has it kinda just starts to happen organically, because I think that if we own overreactions, especially if they're over, certain things with certain people a lot, and it's a pattern and a repetitive, the more we own it and acknowledge that we could have reacted differently, that's what cleans it, and that the behavior stops because of our ownership of
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
Like, there's nothing somebody else needs to do or punish us or, we need to lose enough relationships because we acted this way. No, that doesn't change the behavior. That our behavior changes because we acknowledge it and we decide and follow through on a change we think we should make. It's all an inside job. But
Yeah.
when we clean up the outside, the inside is naturally cleaner because nothing's coming in that's low.
I love that. When you're pointing to that is an inside job, it is basically ours doing. And then
Mhm,
self-accountability is so crucially important because without the accountability for your actions, life is going to, again, this goes to guilt and shame and judgment. So it's going to
mhm,
lead back into this container that is not something that is going to be actually constructive. Yes, like you were saying, if there's consequences that we need to introduce to a child that you are still in timeout, but I could have handled it differently, that's cool because then there is
mhm,
learning. But if we were to say, hey, I just overreacted and you're not actually grounded, then the child thinks, oh, okay, well, I just got away with something. And so now they realize that there is actually ways around some things, and it becomes less, again, not claiming your responsibility even for the child in that case scenario.
mhm.
It's like the child got away with something they didn't have to claim responsibility for. In any relationship, there's two sides to a coin. If there's two people, it's a relationship. There's two people, both have done something that has
Mhm.
contributed to whatever situation that there is
Yeah.
in that sense.
Well, if we're not taking responsibility, then we're not holding ourselves accountable. If we're not
Yeah.
holding ourselves accountable, we are not authentic.
Correct. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Simple,
And if we're not
straightforward.
authentic, then we're self-abandoning. Like, that's the loop,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
everything always starts with the self-responsibility and the awareness
Mm-hmm.
and, the solitude. I mean, it should be tattooed on my head. I mean, I use the word so much, but that's you know, it's the way, and, I mean, I live it every day, and I see it in myself and other people, because whatever we want to be out there, it can't happen until it's in here, and we've sat and faced and looked and, loved it back into the essence of who we are, you know? You can't achieve it out there. It's not out there.
Yeah. So you earlier on you said we don't have to do anything. There is nothing to because there's nothing to lose. Do you remember what you meant by that?
Yes, I was saying it in regards to abandoning self, for instance, and saying yes to a no because we're afraid of losing the person, the relationship, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Well, they were never owned. They're not
Mhm.
ours.
I see. Hmm.
So there is nothing to lose. Loss doesn't exist because
Yeah.
nothing is ever lost because we're one with everything.
Yeah.
And so parts of us that we decide are not serving our highest well-being, we allow that to die off, but we're not losing. We
Hmm.
can't lose relationships. It's not there's no loss.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, and that I asked you about you explaining it, because you know, that love that you have, that you're part of all the time for yourself, that's
Mhm.
not gonna go anywhere ever,
Mm-mm.
ever.
Yeah.
And so whoever is in your circle is going to just be beneficiary of that love that you have for
Mhm.
yourself. That's forever.
Yeah.
And there's no losing again, like you're saying. I love that. It's
Yeah.
you know, when you have the realization that that I am the being that I am most in love with, when you have that realization, you're gonna have so many relationship people are gonna have to like keep people off
Mhm.
of you.
Yeah. Like, because it's self-sourced.
Yes.
It can't be given to us or taken away. It's all self-sourced. That's the whole game is remembering that we are it. Like, that's the whole game. That is "Oh, what is the purpose of life? Why are we here?" We're here to remember that we are divine beings, that we are love.
Yes.
That's it. That's what everything's for. That's what all the experiences are for. That's why we need to have experiences where we think that we lost something so that we can realize that we can't lose anything. That's all for us. I
Mhm.
know, broken record, but, like, that's why. That's
Yeah.
why it's all here. The sooner that we're willing to sit with, be with, lean into, mm, what we are and realize that all the answers are within. And yes, externally, we can talk with people, we can share, we can do yes, of course, but we don't need that to source it.
Hmm.
We need that for reflections because that helps us we need the reflection back, but we don't need it. We need the reflection, not the source.
Right.
That's it.
Sources there all the time.
Yes.
The our understanding because of the our viewpoint really is just like it's about the perception, right? We're
Yeah,
talking speaking to perception completely at this point.
of course.
So yeah, so it's like I can't see something from inside that's on the outside. And
Mhm.
hence I need something else or someone else to reflect what is there on the outside because I just can't see it from where I am.
Yeah.
And the reason that I am where I am in this moment, in this being in this persona, in this situation, in circumstance, wherever, is that I my life has been dictated by the beliefs that I have created in my life, the habits that I have, the memories that I keep, and
Mhm.
we could go a whole nother rabbit hole down to that. Like, why are we keeping certain memories and not others? Think about that one. But there is a we have, like I said, we're sovereign beings and we're always connected. And so love is
Mhm.
always there. And once you know that, once you understand it and you practice doing that,
Yeah.
that's the point of a game, really.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
it's not about like making it, it's not about like you know, becoming better and more, getting more stuff. It's like, I mean, those are fun
No.
sometimes, but it's not about that.
No, it's that because the solitude and the reason that we look within, I see it as, like, always on the foundation of self. So when we look, okay, we're doing this self-work and we're looking at patterns and reflections and things in our childhood and everything. If we commit and devote and make a conscious decision that we're only looking back at the past or at situations, we're only looking at them to see ourselves, like they're a mirror. So you look at the person, okay, oh, somebody says that, I've always had issues with, my sister, my brother, my uncle, my father, my mother. Okay, go look at them, but remove the person. The person's there and it's a mirror.
Mm,
So think of what is coming back. And to do that, it's acknowledging, okay, A, B, C, D happened.
hmm.
Then you look, okay, what was my reaction? How did I feel?
Hmm.
And then go further down into that rather than, well, they said it and I'm hurt because they said something.
Mhm.
Yes, okay, you're hurt, yes, but you're
Mhm.
not hurt because they said something, you're hurt because of what those words woke up, what those words made you think about next. It's what
Mhm.
happened next after the words were said, because
Mhm.
you can't be hurt by words, they're words. There's nothing there. It's what we think about them, and I
Mhm.
mean, we hear this all the time, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's nothing new.
No.
We all talk about it. But yeah, look at everything, but look at yourself. Everybody, life is just a reflection.
Yeah. And this is where it's insidious because we don't see it, because
Right.
it feels normal.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
why. This is where we get blindsided, basically, literally.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
one of the other ones is the conflict means something is wrong.
Mhm.
That's one that a lot of times I notice people say unaware. And I used to avoid conflict myself. And it's like one of the
Yeah.
things that I like though is that when you're avoiding conflict, you're in constant conflict with conflict. You're in conflict with avoiding conflict. Basically, that when we do that, this belief that the conflict means that something is wrong, but this belief keeps us silent and resentment and compliant and it doesn't allow us to be honest in communication with other people, with our our loved ones, our families. It equates discomfort with danger. Basically, like you're just feeling that, if it's not comfortable, it's dangerous, which doesn't have to be true. But again, we could dig a little bit deeper and into like all these things, as I said earlier, these things come from childhood. This is we created that. So where else, in your life did you feel that way? And
Mhm.
so this very belief, for instance, also blocks our growth
Mhm.
and truth of who we are and then our connections and being able to be intimate with people. We can't because we are constantly trying to avoid, right? So there's constant avoidance. Is there something that comes to you as I'm speaking?
Yeah. Yeah, like what we resist persists, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all about the focus and the attention.
Hmm.
And so trying is attention at something, so the focus is on it.
Yeah.
And the universe doesn't know. The universe just responds to our thoughts no matter what they are. So it doesn't differentiate. And so yeah, it's changing that conscious decision to change that belief of that it's which goes back to my earlier point of is it real? Is it true?
Hmm.
Am I in danger? Okay, I'm uncomfortable. Okay. I feel like it's dangerous. Am I in danger? Awareness, look around. Um, am I being attacked? Without going too far into analyzing. So somebody says something and we're like, oh, like notice how we feel without analyzing why they said it, what they meant, because now we're just thinking about that other person. We're abandoning ourselves.
Hmm.
Always just that turning around and focusing on, I'm having a feeling. Let me go look at it and see what's wrong. Because what came to me when you were talking about perception is the stories. There's one story and it's of somebody's in water and it's like a couple feet of water, but they're in panic and they think they're drowning and they just if they just stood up, they could stand up and the water would come up to their knee. But they're too much in a panic to realize it and look that they could actually stand up. And then there was another one of somebody falling off a cliff and grabbing onto a tree. They were a foot off the ground, but they were still in the panic and the fear of falling, and so they're just frozen. It didn't
Hmm.
occur to put their feet down. They didn't look down because they're still in that fear, panic, pain, discomfort.
Hmm.
And so if we can trust in the beginning, if we can come into a space to trust ourselves to be able to hold anything that we bring into ourselves, if we can stop and find our way to a belief in ourselves to be able to just hold it, not to fix it, not any further. Just, okay, I can hold this. I'm capable of holding this. I don't need to know how to fix it. Nothing. If we do that and we're focused on that love, our allowing it in dissolves it because we are. the love that transforms anything unlike itself. So most often there's not a lot to do or fix because it gets transformed and dissolved in the love of us just giving it a space. Sometimes we can be really upset and just and somebody listens to us and we just vent and we're allowed to just be completely irrational and like
Mhm.
whatever and just say
Mhm.
whatever we need to say no matter what. We don't have to make sense.
Mhm.
And then we're like, "Oh, okay. All right, I feel better." We
Right.
just needed to let it out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's the same with ourselves in that space. If just sit with it. It's okay. There's no monsters.
Yeah.
Just
And
sit
you know
with it.
what? Exactly. And I like love about that, it's like a conflict really is, if you think about that in a sense, like when do we come into conflict with something or someone? Is that
Mhm.
when something isn't clear? Because if something was clear, we would not be arguing about it, right?
Mm,
So in some
right.
sense, you can look at it as an opportunity to clarify something, right?
Mhm,
So that's how I look at it. If I approach my student, my client, somebody who is having a hard time with something, is coming to me with some sort of a request or some sort of like they pour their heart out in sense and something
mhm.
happened in their home and this is how it's affecting them and this is it's
Yeah.
hard to do this or that. I was like, okay,
Mhm,
well that sounds like that's rough, and so let's figure this out. So and especially when something is regarding me, as my student comes to me, for instance. Okay, so that sounds like conflict in some sense of your interest and my interest, perhaps, or something like that. Okay, so let's clarify this. To me, that's an opportunity. To some people, this feels like, okay, this feels dangerous because oftentimes what happens, I feel, is that we forget that when we were, for instance, a child, conflict was on a daily basis happening in our household and the energy was terrible. It was terrifying. It was fearful. It was screaming, yelling. There was perhaps even besides arguments, there were physical violence there maybe,
mhm,
and that feels dangerous, which by all means it would be. But point
mhm,
being is that because we have experienced this in our childhood over and over and over, we have become accustomed to it in some sense. And the
mhm,
best way that we could have basically come out of that situation
mhm,
was to distance ourselves from it, right?
mhm,
So what do we
mhm.
do oftentimes with conflict? We avoid it. Okay, because we
Yeah.
think it's wrong, because we think it's dangerous, right? And so if
Mhm,
we begin to think that, hey, you know what, conflict is just a disagreement that
mhm,
can be remedied somehow. Say something, do something, listen, obviously,
mhm.
listen
Yeah,
more,
yeah.
listen even more.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that's how the conflict is resolved if you're listening.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you're bringing into it clarity, and the image came to my head, like, sometimes we need to just clean the mirror off first for the reflection. Like, sometimes that's the first step. It's like, stop, pause, look around. Okay, what alright. We gotta wipe the mirror off maybe, so that we can see, am I in danger? Do I need to do something right now? Is there anything that needs to be done right now? But from love's perspective, we can assess a situation in a second
Hmm.
and know what to do, if to do anything. There's ease in that. The pause holds the ease.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so it does. It takes time and to your point, patience with ourselves because you don't just step into that. Okay, yep. No, I'm going to be able to just pause now anytime I feel like I'm in crisis. Well, of course not, you know. But that's the goal because the more that we can do that and the more that our automatic default in the moment of a reaction, when that becomes a pause is the first thing that happens, you're done. You're good. Like, there's still work to do. But when that can be allowed, the heightened, desperate, the crisis mind, the reactive, the pause takes that away. It, like,
Yeah.
goes into it, and it's there's nothing, there's most often nothing to do, but it holds it for us, so we can just
Yeah.
Like, breathe and let it be.
Yeah, and again, we're gonna probably keep coming back to this, being still, breathing through this, just letting it be, surrendering it, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. And
Yeah.
the practice,
Mhm.
let me say it this way. So oftentimes we feel we have to fix something. Something is wrong and
Mhm.
we need to fix it, right?
Yeah.
It's not about that because that's manipulation.
Right.
And if
Mhm.
we're trying to fix something, we're trying to maneuver, manipulate somehow something that
Mhm.
requires a ton of effort. I mean, can that be done too? Sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you want to play hard game, go ahead. But
Right.
simply this kind of basically, as like you're saying, becoming aware of something that is happening within you is a number one step towards fixing it.
Yes.
Second step is to practice it and integrate it into your life, whatever it is that you just figured out. So whenever you have next time opportunity this is really hard and I don't know what am I gonna do with this situation with these people who whatever it is that you're struggling with, whatever triggered you. Next time that
Mhm.
happens, remember, oh yeah, last time when that happened, remember I said this. Oh, so what did I say I was gonna do? Oh, this and that. Oh, okay. Let me
Yeah.
see if that works. That's the fixing that we actually want to do. Because that's a practice.
Yeah. I'm always with myself first and with anyone I ever sit with on this is that the second most important thing to do, in my opinion, as we're, agreeing and devoting ourselves to become aware and okay, I'm gonna make a conscious decision to be aware of my behaviors because I want to, work and change and all that. It's like an immediate agreement, drop a contract and sign it, that there's no judgment to the awareness because that's insidious too.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yep, I'm really gonna do this, work on myself. I care about, I'm gonna be, live in integrity. Well, okay, you ask for it and you're gonna see it. And the more
Mhm.
you go into it, you'll see all day long little things like judging a driver or saying, oh, that was stupid, or some like little things. Well, if we're gonna be aware and this stuff's gonna come, and then we're gonna judge ourselves and shame ourselves and beat ourselves up about it. Okay, well, we're just digging more holes. Like,
Yep.
we're not only going backwards, like,
Mhm.
we're spiraling and looping backwards.
Yeah.
It's completely counterproductive.
Yeah. And so the question then would be like, why would we do that to us?
Worthiness.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
it all circles back
Hmm.
because it all circles back to the reason that we're doing it in the first place. I don't feel worthy of fill in the blank. Like that's the beginning of all of it, worthy, good enough, all of it. Well,
Yeah.
the whole circle back is the why is, well, I don't feel worthy of it, whether it's success, a better relationship. So we stay in the one that, okay, well, we're with somebody, but there's resentment and it's not great and I'm abandoning myself, but at least I'm in a relationship. I'm abandoning myself, but at least I'm in a job. It's paying the bills. And then okay, da 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 da, we go the excuses, yeah, but all the yeah buts, you know,
Yeah.
we state what's not aligned, and then we yeah but it until we, get comfortable with the misery again and find comfort in the familiar rather than believing that we're worthy of actually being fulfilled. Not
Hmm.
perfection, just fulfilled.
Hmm.
We're worthy of knowing that we're worthy and we're worthy of acceptance and unconditional love from
Yeah.
ourselves and others.
Exactly. We're here to celebrate this life, to live this life, to learn things, to experience things. And, whether you're experiencing pain, whether you're experiencing love, whether you're experiencing a sadness or grief, or whether you're
Mhm.
experiencing joy and, whatever it is, those
Yeah.
are all equal experiences to a
Mhm.
soul.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the only part of you that has some sort of preferences around that is the part of you that has created these insidious beliefs.
Mhm.
That's the ego part that's trying to survive
Mhm.
because it isn't real.
Yeah. 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 That's it. And those are the parts that need to be replaced. and cleaned up.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
getting basically replaced or cleaned up because if you're actually aware and then you're doing the work, you're practicing it, it's getting done.
Hmm.
That's it. And
Yeah.
whether it's pretty or not, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. As soon as we're in full acceptance and full belief of our worthiness, the rest just happens.
Yeah.
That opens the gate, and then everything can flow through. There's nothing to do after that,
Yeah.
because when we know that we're worthy, it's perfectly natural for us to just know that our desires are going to be fulfilled, and know that
Hmm.
when a desire comes, we are to follow it. And it's
Hmm.
all just organic and natural because it's the truth, and it's the way we're made to be. We cleaned up all the glitches and things that were holding us back.
Hmm. So then
And so,
what's left to do is to
yeah,
play.
just be. Yeah.
Yeah. It's to
Just be
play.
and wonder.
This is a playground, man.
Oh my God. It is. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and we mistake it for like a suffering field. And it's a playground, it's like, no, no, you guys seriously look differently. And
Yeah.
whenever you're experiencing something that's hurting, just remember this is still temporary. Whether you're
Yeah.
experiencing joy, whether you're experiencing whatever, it's all
Mhm.
temporary in a sense. And so,
Mhm.
one thing I think I will do, one last one here for today is that healing means I'll eventually have no pain. Yeah, a lot of times people think this way, and
Mhm.
we don't realize that this is happening. So we think that because we have pain, we don't have health. Health is. You have
Mhm.
pain, pain is. Doesn't mean that you're not healthy, but a lot of
Mhm.
times people equate that the fact that I have pain, that means that I'm not healthy or I'm not healed. I need to heal. And so we end up creating shame around grief and anger and fear. These are just emotions that
Mhm.
we don't have to, don't have to. We end up
Resist.
resisting
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm.
fear, anger, grief,
Mhm.
sadness. These are things that we don't need to resist to. We just need to experience them. Once
Mhm.
they've been experienced fully, they will just move along. And this
Yeah.
is the problem oftentimes ends up being in this place where we think that we need to fix stuff. Again,
Mhm.
like my knee hurts, so I need to fix it. I
Mhm.
mean, yes, you probably need to more than fixing it, try doing something specific. Rather,
Mhm.
can you maybe check into like what's your alignment of your foot? Where the knee might be misaligned and it might be hurting. Maybe you
Mhm.
have done fast movement and so the knee got tweaked and it's hurting. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's still again, that's
Mhm.
temporary. And the reason that oftentimes the illness sticks around for a long time, or that we call chronic in a sense, oftentimes, then after that, is that we have now developed a belief that says, for as long as I have this pain, I cannot be, I'm not healthy. And so once this pain is gone, I will be healthy.
Mhm.
No, no, no. Health is. You
Yeah.
are healthy, and right now you have a knee pain.
Yeah.
That's gonna
Mhm.
go away at some point because body is so smart and it will heal you unless you
Mhm.
prevent it, unless you
Yeah.
keep repeating that loop of my knee is bad, my knee is bad, my knee is bad
Mhm.
every day. And your
Yeah.
mind goes, oh, okay, the knee is bad. Can't deal with that. All right. But
Mhm.
so be careful what you're putting in there again. It's like this is back to again frequency. Your words matter. Belief, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, it all
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Where's the focus?
Yes.
If your right foot hurts, then focus on your left one that doesn't hurt.
Yes.
Like, I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
listen, of course, like, yes, take responsibility. I mean, I'm sitting here, I mean, my neck is fused and I've had brain surgery, and like, so I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh no, just never." Okay?
Yeah.
But yes, that's been done because it needed to,
Life
right? It was
circumstances.
necessary for those things to happen. But those surgeries or the illnesses and injuries that the surgery corrected and removed from me that it doesn't have anything to do with my health. It just needed to be gone. When there was cancer in my body, we took it out. Okay. And then my body healed. Then my body got to work and did its thing and healed it. But it needed to be removed. And when my spine's broken, then yeah, okay. It needed to be put back together and it needs support. But just because my spine needed support doesn't mean that I'm broken. Needing support doesn't need to be broken, like that doesn't make you broken.
Yeah.
And we can look at it in a physical way, or the same with needing emotional support. We're not broken. And you're 100% right. It's that impeccability with words. I mean, there's nothing that matters more than that, because
Hmm.
everything comes from the word, spoken or not. Those
Hmm.
the thoughts, the word, that dictates everything.
It's the
Everything.
perception. Hmm.
Yeah. When I was there, or when I'm with others that are, in life-threatening kind of illnesses or something, you're not dying, you're living. You're not dying of. You're living with, and I call them events.
Hmm.
For me, I call things, okay, I've had events with my brain, with my spine. I've had things that, like situations, but I'm living. I'm not
Yeah,
dying of anything, And so, and it matters how we speak,
it
when
does.
someone close with me was dealing with cancer, I just wouldn't, I'm like, you're stronger than it. It's temporary. You're stronger than that. It's the way I spoke about it when it was me. It's because regardless of the outcome, how you speak of it during matters. So like if we were only going to speak positively about a diagnosis or a situation because we knew that the outcome was what we wanted, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why not talk about it like it is temporary? That's not hurting anything.
Yeah,
It's oh, you're not facing reality. No, look, facing reality, are you taking care of yourself? Are you taking treatments that you need, whatever you need to do?
yeah,
Take responsibility, but you can take responsibility and have a surgery or use a medication or something that's outside, that's external, still believing that it's not, there's nothing that has power over you. And you can still live with the same mindset as if you're healthy, even if you're in bed. Your mindset can be healthy. You can be
yeah.
running in your mind, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And the point being is that yes, I feel sometimes it's the intervention, outside intervention is needed.
Mhm.
And a lot of
Yes.
times it's the inner intervention that's needed
Yeah.
that's sometimes missing.
Mhm.
So being able to say to yourself, I got this. I can deal with this. I can figure this out. My
Mhm.
body has been, strong all of my life or most of my life, let's say.
Mhm.
Something comes, okay, if this was meant for me to be it in here in this lifetime, then so be it. Yes, I'll, you know, say my goodbyes and do whatever I can do, and trust that
Mhm.
this was to be done. And if it wasn't my time yet, nothing's gonna stop me from healing it. Nothing. I will find a way, whether it's through surgery, through drug, whether it's through self-healing methods, whatever you do,
Mhm. Yeah.
whatever it takes you there.
Yeah.
So it's I feel
Mhm.
like we have the control and oftentimes end up giving it away. And this is exactly what becomes then insidious in a state of like whenever you find yourself that you're saying a story about your illness of some sort,
Mhm.
this is the insidious piece
Yeah.
because it's a
Mhm.
story that
Yeah.
somehow puts you into the seat of poor me. Somebody
Yeah.
have compassion for me. That's a
Mhm.
self-abandonment. You need to give that to yourself first. Then
Yeah.
other people will give that to you too. And again, it's shaming yourself for something like you could have known better or something to keep your better care of yourself. Again,
Mhm.
not needed, especially when your body's trying to heal. These frequencies just take it down again.
Yeah. It blocks it. Yeah.
Exactly. Becomes harder
Mhm.
to heal it.
Yeah. Love won't argue or fight against shame. Love won't fight at all.
Hmm.
Love sits patiently and waits to be accepted and taken as the truth. It won't argue for its spot. It won't debate, same as we should be. I'm not gonna
That's
debate with anybody. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. That's okay. I'm never gonna be rude. I'm never gonna push or demand that somebody believe or feel hurt if they don't believe the same things as me. I'm gonna honor it and I'm gonna respect it and, but I'm not gonna debate or try to prove myself or define it.
yeah.
But when there was a time of pleasing and unworthiness, of course. But yeah, the body can't heal until we get the shame and judgment out of the way. It can't.
Yeah, and it's the realization, like you just said, if you're sitting in love with love, love doesn't argue. It doesn't need
Mhm.
to, do anything. It's
Yeah,
just, it's there. It's just present.
yeah,
That's what it is. It's present. You are in presence with you.
mhm,
This
yeah,
is where love is. Love
yeah,
is presence, attention,
mhm,
affection, appreciation. That's love.
yeah,
When you're in that state of being, that state of realization, you're healing.
mhm, right. And it's been my experience and something that I do is I always know and I always, assess where I'm at and where my strength is.
Hmm.
And when I'm dealing with something that is, enough to sort of stop me in my tracks in terms of health or pain or something, if I'm feeling strong, I'll greet it and say, "Okay, all right, show me what's here for me. Show me." Maybe say in the morning where I'm feeling a little more connected, I might, invite it in and sit with it myself. But if I'm not, I open the door to it, I say hello, and I point it to love space. You go
Hmm.
sit there. I can't now. So that might I
Hmm.
might say God, source, universe, just what is higher than me in that moment in vibration. But I
Hmm.
acknowledge I'm in low vibration, but I still get up and greet it at the door. Let it
Hmm.
in the door myself. I say hello. I'm interested, but I know my limit in that moment of my capacity, and
Hmm.
I'm willing to turn it over
Hmm.
because of my faith and trust. And so we don't always have to be the one. We can surrender that over and say, "Yeah, I'm just not up for it today. I don't feel like it." It's okay. That's
Hmm.
what we're supposed to do, is
Hmm.
honor ourselves enough to say, "Yeah, I'm just not feeling strong enough today." That's not denial or resisting it. Resisting is blocking it out and unwillingness to look at it or the blame, the victimhood, "Poor me."
Hmm.
That won't get us into comfort, but acceptance.
Hmm.
Mm,
Yeah, and then the acceptance and the loving space comes from a realization that we are not separate, that we are united, we are
mhm,
one, and that when you're in this space of your soul and realizing that this is a playground to play,
mhm.
this whole game becomes straightforward. I would say not easy
Yeah.
because it isn't. And which is
Yeah.
why we also like it because it isn't easy. It's challenging, right? But it becomes straightforward. It becomes
Yes.
doable. And this is where really everything equalizes. And so for the ending of this, I'd like to leave audience with a question. And so if you think about which one of these insidious beliefs has most rung true to you, see like which one felt most familiar to you, and then
Mhm,
look at it not necessarily like from perspective of your intellect, but from perspective of like your emotions. Just feel it,
mm,
be present with it.
yeah,
So whatever you come to conclusion that whichever one you've kind of felt most like had rung true to you, and then which one of these beliefs has perhaps kept you safe,
mm.
where it may no longer be serving you.
Yeah, love that. Mhm,
Yeah. So I'll leave you with those and sit with that. And this is again, be present. Like Tammy's saying, is like awareness, sitting with it, being with it,
mm,
allowing yourself to feel into this. And when you do
yeah,
that, you may be surprised
mhm,
what miracles it brings.
Yeah, the confidence will come just by doing it, just a little bit at a time. You'll see the confidence will build so quickly, and
Yeah.
you'll have this confidence in self that's like, oh, and then we feel capable. And so when we feel confident and capable, the fear goes away.
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
then there's no resistance because the fear goes away.
You said it. I was gonna say that you don't have to drop these beliefs today. It's just like the awareness alone is, it just loosens the grip one day at a time. And
Hmm.
so then you can, day by day, you can loosen,
Yep.
release a little bit more extra. And this is where the practice
Yeah.
comes. So
Yeah, it's stretching. Yep. Perfect.
awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much again for hanging out with me
Mhm.
today. And thank you guys for watching it another beautiful Awake and
Mhm.
Aware episode. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, take care.
Mhm. Thank you.